Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm very happy to have you here and hope you are doing well. In this video we are painting a landscape painting in gouache, and I also take you with me when I pick up my paintings from the gallery which exhibited my paintings over February and March of this year. And also I have an in-depth discussion or ramble session, however you want to call it, on art blog, because I have been art blog for quite some time now. I've already did a video on what I try to do against it, but I also had a real relieving realization on that, and that was very helpful to me. And of course I wanted to share it because I think it might be helpful for someone who's also art blog right now or at some point in the future, because as I'm also discussing later in the video, creative blogs belong to your creative practice, I think. So yeah, I think we all have to accept that and learn to deal with that. Yeah, as always, if you also want to share some tips or want to let me know what you think, write it in the comments. Let's start a discussion. I'm always very interested what you think. And if you enjoyed this video and haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, that really helps out the channel. And yeah, now let's get into painting. I've mentioned it in my latest videos that I am very new when it comes to painting with gouache and also with landscapes as a motive. And I also think this painting didn't turn out super great. I mean, it's nice, but I overdid it in some spots. I think the visual hierarchy is a little bit off. But yeah, I'm still practicing. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course. So yeah, and this motif is also a photo I took when I was back home at my parents', because my home is in a national park actually, and yeah, so naturally that scenery is quite nice. So painting that as a motif is kind of a no-brainer. So I'm about to drive to the gallery to pick up my paintings and to bring them home again. I kind of missed my paintings, or yeah, the gaps on my walls annoyed me, better said. And yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but I hung up some prints of mine to fill in some of those gaps. Yeah, so on one side, I'm glad that they will be here with me again, but it's also a little bit sad that the exhibition is already over. But it's been almost 2 months. Not exactly, but almost. And I have to say that sometimes I actually forgot, because of course I got used to the gaps on my walls, and sometimes I sat here and suddenly I was like, oh, you're right, my paintings are in an exhibition. Great. Yeah, but I'm also happy to have them here with me again, as I said, so let's go. For some context, because I didn't mention it, I exhibited my paintings for the first time in Berlin, since I am living here at the Kulturhaus Karlshorst. And if you're interested to see how exactly I apply to galleries and how I got that exhibition, and also how I prepared that exhibition later on. I did 2 in-depth videos on the application process and also on the exhibition and the preparation for it itself, so I'm going to link it for you. So let's have a little chat, shall we? If you've seen my latest video, I talked a lot about why I'm feeling once again super art blocked at the moment. The last couple of months have been extremely exhausting and hard, especially because of my bachelor degree and a lot of other things around it. And yeah, the everyday stresses everybody has from time to time, but the consequences are a lot of the times that when those extremely stressful times are finally over and you look forward that you have more time to work on your creative practice, that there isn't too much left inside of you, or better said, you don't have the capacity to really have your creative juices flowing. I mean that you can work very freely and fluently and that you feel very inspired and have the energy. So I really want to paint. I've been looking forward to having more time to paint for months. Yeah, and now that I have, I really can't. In the last couple of weeks I really tried to focus on trying to draw and paint things that are out of my comfort zone, or another big thing for me is to experiment with different materials. So that has been already very helpful, but I'm still experiencing some kind of resistance. It's pretty hard to describe, and I think if you work somehow creative yourself, you've also experienced those things at some point at least. Yeah, and even though I don't have my full capacity, I still feel that there is, that sounds super weird, but some kind of drive or creative energy that is, it is there, but I can't get a hold of it, you know? I can't access it properly, and that adds up to the feeling of stress and also a little bit frustration, because it wants to get out, it wants to be brought in some form and in some shape. But at the end of the day, when you fight so much with yourself, you didn't do anything creative a day you probably could have, and that leads to even more frustration, and this energy piles up and it gets more and you can't let it out. Yeah, I don't know, I want to stop fighting so much with myself, because I know those phases are absolutely normal and you don't have to create masterpiece after masterpiece. But still, as I said, you probably know that if you work creatively, but a lot of the times you are your most harsh critic. Even if I don't think that my work is bad or something, I like most of the pieces I've done so far. It's just that I'm in a little bit of slump, because I always feel like, where is the spark? I don't feel that inspired, and I feel that my work becomes predictable and I'm not as inspired. I don't feel it as much, and I want that and I need that. I think it's also important when you are in the slump that you keep going, that you have of course, having a break, taking a break is absolutely crucial, of course, but that you also try to push through that creative block, because if you stop creating altogether, I don't think that you will get out of that creative block. So a balance would be good, and I still need that because I also find myself not painting or drawing anything for weeks on end. But what I wanted to share is a realization I had yesterday, because yesterday I did another Domestica course. This is not sponsored or anything. I already did a few courses on Domestica in the past. Those are courses on creative topics. And yesterday I started with Creative Visual Diary, Learning to Draw Your Life. And the course is by Pepita Sandwich. What a name. She's an illustrator and cartoonist. I will put her handle here on the screen. And I just started with that course, but it already made me feel so much more inspired. And I don't know how she does that, but she at least seems to be so creative effortlessly. Of course, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm sure she has to put in a lot of work too. That's no question, but it seems so, yeah, natural and effortlessly, and that alone is very inspiring to me. And what she suggested for the beginning of the course is that you think about what your creative DNA is. So that means that you really write down and create mood boards of what's really important to you if you break it down as an artist for your work, what attracts and inspires you the most, and creating those mood boards out of that was so helpful to me. I've been looking at so much art and photos also on Pinterest for hours, and I created this mood board, and I know what really attracts me. I know the patterns of what tends to inspire me the most, but seeing this all combined together in one place is different, and I don't know, it made me realize that what I'm longing for so bad for my work is already there. Of course, I need to practice. I need to really be consistent to be able to work more fluently, of course. But I feel like it's already there, and I think that correlates to that creative energy that tends to pile up in myself, which doesn't have a form for quite long periods of time. It sounds so obvious, but I think this feeling, what I described, I think this is what I want, but I have to learn to get a better grip to access that, so that it can work for me and not against me so often. And I think such techniques can get you going. They can get you more in the flow. And she also suggested, I didn't do it yet because I was busy making mood boards, but that you really answer questions to yourself and really write that down. I can't quote what questions she suggested, but essentially also what is important to you, what inspires you, what makes you feel the most, whatever, all those things, so that you really have a concrete idea of what is important to you as an artist and what you want from your work. And yeah, I think this is so important and so inspiring, and sounds obvious, and we probably all know these things, but when you don't really do that, it doesn't matter if you know it or not. So yeah, I'm happy that I found that course and that I started it, and I hope it sparks something, a little flame or whatever, so that I can let it all out and that I can access what's already there in a better way. So yeah, I hope this was understandable in any way, because I feel like that I just rambled around. Yeah, but if you got what I wanted to say, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Let's start a discussion. Share your tips if you have any. I would love to hear what you think about that, and if you are also in this little slump of an art block, it's going to pass, and we all know it's part of the process, but it doesn't make it any less annoying. I know but I think it will never end trying to evolve and to develop yourself as an artist, as an individual, and what inspires you, and all of that is ever changing. So I think you always have to revisit those questions of what is important to you, what inspires you, and so on and so forth. Now I'm really rambling, so let's make a point of that.